My dear Cancer, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now. Just stop. Because what I'm about to say is coming from a place so sincere that I need you to actually be present for it. Because someone who is no longer physically in your life has things they never got to say to you. And I genuinely believe that sometimes the universe finds ways of delivering those things through a song that comes on at the exact wrong right moment, through a dream that feels too real to be just a dream, through a video like this one that you weren't even planning to watch but somehow ended up watching anyway. You've been missing someone. And I don't mean the casual missing of someone who moved away or drifted out of your life. I mean the kind of missing that sits in your chest like something physical, the kind that hits you completely out of nowhere in a grocery store, in the car, in the middle of a completely ordinary moment, and suddenly you can't breathe quite right for a few seconds. The kind of missing that doesn't follow a calendar, doesn't respect the passage of time, doesn't care that other people think you should be further along by now. That kind of, and the person you're missing, whether it's been 6 months or 6 years, I need you to know that the love you still feel for them is not one-sided. It never stopped going both directions. It just changed form. Here's what they want you to know first. And I'm going to say this as directly as I can because I think you need to hear it without any softening around the edges. They are not in pain. Whatever the circumstances of their leaving, however sudden, however long and hard, however complicated the end was, they are not carrying any of that anymore. The suffering stopped. The struggle stopped. What remained, what continues, is only the love, only the connection, only the specific, irreplaceable bond that exists between the two of you that does not require physical presence to remain completely real. They are okay, more than okay. And one of the things that would make them most okay is knowing that you are too. Can I tell you something about grief that nobody tells you? The people we lose don't want to be the reason we stopped living. I know that sounds simple, but I think some of you have, without fully realizing it, started to treat your grief as a form of loyalty. Like if you stop hurting as much, if you let yourself be genuinely happy, if you allow new things and new people and new joy into your life, it means you love them less than you did. It means you're moving on in a way that dishonors what they meant to you. And I want to say with complete conviction, they would disagree with that so strongly. The person you lost, if they loved you, and they did, would be the first one telling you to live, to laugh, to let something good happen without immediately feeling guilty for it. Their love for you did not come with conditions attached to your joy. It came with the simple, fierce desire for you to be okay. So be okay. Not for their sake as a debt you owe them, but because being okay is what love, real love, the kind that doesn't end at death, actually looks like in practice. Think about who they were when they were here. Think about the specific way they laughed, the thing they always said, the way they looked at you when you walked into a room, the particular way they showed up for you that nobody else has ever quite replicated. Hold that for a second. Really hold it. Because that person, that specific, irreplaceable, one-of-a-kind human being, loved you in a way that was entirely their own. And that love didn't disappear when they did. Love doesn't have an off switch. It doesn't expire. It changes address maybe, but it doesn't stop. They've been watching you. And I know how that might sound, but stay with me. Not in a strange way, in the way that love, when it's real, maintains its attention on the people it cares about, regardless of the barriers in between. They've seen the hard nights. They've seen you hold it together in front of everyone and then fall apart privately. They've seen the moments where you picked up your phone and almost texted their number before remembering. They've seen all of it. And what they feel watching you is not pity, it's pride. It's this overwhelming, specific pride in exactly who you are and how you've handled something that was never supposed to be easy to handle. They are proud of you, not for being strong in the perform nothing affects me sense, but for being real, for actually feeling it, for refusing to pretend that their absence was anything less than enormous. That honesty, that willingness to genuinely grieve is a form of love too, and they see it as exactly that. Okay. Now, I don't know the specific details of your relationship, whether it was a parent, a partner, a friend, a child, a sibling, but I know this about human relationships. They are never perfectly clean at the end. There is always something, a disagreement that never got fully resolved. Words said in a hard moment that neither person meant quite the way they came out. Distance that developed for complicated reasons, things that should have been said and weren't because there was always going to be more time and then suddenly there wasn't. They know about those things. They carry no resentment about any of it. What they want, what they need you to hear is that from where they are now, with the full perspective that brings, none of the unresolved things define what you were to each other. The love defines it. The real moments define it. The specific way the two of you existed in each other's lives defines it. The rest was just human. And being human together messily and imperfectly is actually one of the most beautiful things two people can do. They want you to stop replaying it. You know what I mean? The last conversation, the last day, the things you wish you'd said, the things you wish had been different. The moment you keep returning to examining from every angle, looking for the thing you could have done that would have changed the outcome. They need you to hear this clearly. There is nothing you could have changed. The timeline was not in your hands. The outcome was not a result of anything you did or didn't do. And the energy you are spending on that replay is energy they would much rather see you spending on your actual living life. They are not in that last moment. They are not stuck there. They move through it and beyond it. And they need you to do the same. Not to forget it, but to stop living inside it as if the story ended there. The story between you did not end there. It changed form there, but it did not end. Here's something they want to say to you about the people in your life right now. They can see who has shown up for you since losing them. They can see who held you and who disappeared. They can see the person or people who have been quietly, consistently, without making a big deal of it, just showing up. And they want you to let those people in more than you have been because you've been keeping even the good ones at a slight distance, not out of cruelty, but out of the self protection that grief produces. The way loss makes you want to hold everyone a little less tightly so that if they go too, it doesn't destroy you the same way. They understand why you're doing that. And they want you to stop, not recklessly, not without discernment, but stop keeping the people who genuinely love you at arm's length as a form of preemptive self defense. Let them in, let yourself be loved. Right now, it's not a betrayal of your grief, it's the whole point of surviving it. They also want to say something about the future, specifically about the parts of your future that you've quietly, maybe unconsciously, been putting on hold out of a sense that it feels wrong to be excited about things when they're not here to see them. The promotion you've been hesitant to go for, the relationship you've been reluctant to fully invest in, the move, the new chapter, the thing you've been sitting at the edge of without jumping because some part of you is still waiting for what? You're not even sure, just waiting. They are not waiting. They are actively, specifically, in whatever way love operates beyond the physical. They are cheering for every single one of those things: the promotion, the relationship, the new chapter. They want to see it happen. They want to know that their person, you, specifically you, is out there living a life that is full and real and proportionate to who you actually are. That is not a small thing to them. That is everything to them. So go do the thing, live the life, not despite having loved them because of it. Let the love they gave you be the fuel rather than the anchor. And I want this to be the part you carry with you after this video ends. Not as a memory of something you watched, as something that actually changed something in you, even slightly, even just one small thing shifting in the way you hold your grief or your future or your sense of permission to be okay. Because I think that's what they would want from this. Not tears, although tears are fine. Tears are just love with nowhere to go. But movement, some small movement in the direction of your own life. Here's what they want your life to look like from here. They want your mornings to eventually feel like yours again. Right now, some of you are waking up and the first few seconds are okay, just barely conscious, just warmly drifting. And then the awareness of their absence arrives and the day immediately gets heavy. They know about those mornings, they've seen every one of them. And what they want is for the mornings to gradually, gently, over time become something you can wake up inside of without the weight arriving quite so fast. Not because you've forgotten, but because you found a way to carry the love without the weight being the first thing. That shift takes time. It cannot be rushed, but it is coming. And they are patient. They want you to eat well and sleep and take your body seriously. I know that sounds almost absurdly practical given everything else we've been talking about, but grief does real things to the body, and the people who loved us would never want us physically deteriorating out of sadness. They were people, real physical human people who probably at some point told you to take care of yourself, to rest, to eat something. That impulse in them didn't disappear. Take care of your body. It's the house your grief lives in, and it's also the house your joy is going to live in. When joy is ready to move back in, treat it accordingly. They want you to talk about them. This is important. There is a social awkwardness around grief, especially after some time has passed, where people around you stop mentioning the person you lost because they don't want to remind you, as if you had somehow forgotten, as if bringing them up might reopen something they imagine is closing. And so the person you loved starts to become an absence, not just physically, but conversationally. Nobody says their name. Nobody brings up the funny story. Nobody references them in passing the way you would if they were just traveling somewhere and coming back. And that conversational absence can feel like a second loss, like the world is slowly erasing someone who was enormous. They want you to say their name, to tell the stories, to laugh at the things they did that were ridiculous and beautiful and specific to them. Keeping them present in conversation is not morbid. It is an act of love, and it is allowed. Here's the thing I most want to leave you with. The bond between you, whatever form it took, whatever history it carried, whatever made it specifically and irreplaceably yours, that bond is not past tense. I know that is hard to hold when the evidence of the physical world is pointing entirely the other direction. When their chair is empty and their phone is disconnected and their clothes still smell like them in a closet, you can't quite bring yourself to clear out. But love, the real, specific, chosen, this person, and no other kind of love, does not live exclusively in the physical. It lives in you, in the specific ways they changed you, in the things you value because of them, in the moments where you catch yourself saying something they would have said or responding to something the way they would have responded, and you feel them in you rather than beside you. That is not imagination. That is continuity. That is love. Finding a new address. They are not gone in the way the word gone implies. They are changed, and so are you. And the relationship between you continues differently, but genuinely in every moment you choose to carry them forward into the life you're still living. Live it well, live it fully, live it in a way that wherever they are and however they are makes them smile. Because that's the thing about people who love us. Living well, living truly, living with your whole chest open to everything that's still available to you. That's the thing that would make them happiest. Not your suffering, not your guilt, not your staying small out of loyalty to the pain, your joy, your actual, genuine, hard won, deeply felt joy. They love you. They never stopped, and they are so incredibly proud of you for still being here. If this reached you today, if someone specific came to mind while you were reading this and you felt them drop their name, or just I feel you in the comments, let's make this comment section a space where people can say the names that don't get said enough anymore. And if you're comfortable, tell me about them. One thing, one memory, one thing you loved about them that you want the world to know because they deserve to be remembered out loud, and you deserve the relief of saying it. If this channel found you today for a reason, subscribe, because real conversations like this one happen here regularly, and you shouldn't have to go looking for this kind of content every time you need it. Drop their name or I feel you say it out loud, they're listening.